Alright guys, we're at my local game store, down to game. I'm bringing branded Chimera to locals today to see if we can win with this deck. Let's go. Okay, so we're going to be playing the branded Chimera today. One thing that I am a little iffy on is the edge amp package, just due to droll. But the thing is, this deck loses to droll anyway, so I think you still have to maximize your deck to the best of your ability. This list is very similar to the deck list that I got top 8 at the regional with. That was post Infinite Forbidden. That was pre Fiendsmith, so I'm a little worried about that. I'm still running Super Poly in the build. I think Super Poly is still good. It's not as good as it was with Fiendsmith. I mean, it's not as good as it was before Fiendsmith. So as far as the extra deck goes, all I did, I cut one Guardian Chimera to make room for a Chaos Angel, just for the Tempai matchup, because we can properly make it, and Tempai doesn't really have an out to it, especially if they're on the hand trap version and not playing a bunch of board breakers. So mainly that, and plus it's just good to summon out sometimes. But yeah, I'll keep y'all updated. Alright guys, so I am in the studio. It's after locals. It was really late when we got home, so I didn't get to do it last night, but I'm going to give y'all the updated round by round and let you know what happened, and kind of give you some pointers and stuff on things I would change on the deck. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you a deck profile. So anyways, first round, I go against Elemental Heroes. So I'm thinking, okay, I have a fairly good matchup with this deck. Keep in mind, I do not play hand traps in this build. And to be honest with you, I only sided one Droll and Lock Bird for a crossout target. So I'm a little nervous if he just makes a traditional inboard, which a lot of times they won't make Dark Law if they don't know what you're on, just in case you're playing like Flu or something. So he's playing the FTK version. They have a card that can basically King Calamity you. It's like Neo something. I'll put it right here. I figured out he was doing that version. I was like, yeah, this isn't going to be good. In my draw phase, he says, do you have anything? I had a Super Poly, and I couldn't remember exactly how they made the little FTK guy. So I Super Poly part of his board away, the Ab-Zero, and the he had one other card on the field. I don't even know what it was. I can't remember now. Aqua Dolphin. So I'm like, okay, maybe if I get rid of that, the Aqua Dolphin, it messes his play up. It didn't. It turns out they use Eternal Contact, bring that monster out. So anyways, I just scoop there. I don't really give him a tell of what I'm on. I just discarded one card, and I don't think he really figured out what I was on. So game 2, I go first. Fairly easy win, as expected. I mean, when you go first with branded Chimera, you're typically winning. You should be winning a majority of those games. But anyways, we go to game 3, and I'm nervous because, like, I don't have hand traps. I do not play hand traps in this build, which that's something I do want to talk about at the end of the video. I think if you commit to a board breaker approach with any deck, you need to side hand traps. Even if you can't play many, just play the good ones. Imperm, Nib, Ash. I mean, I know it takes up a lot of your side deck. But yeah, in the future, I'd probably just cut Cross out. But we'll talk about that later. So game 3, he goes full combo. I'm just sitting there watching him combo. I sided in Twin Twisters. That was kind of a spicy tech that I was playing last night, and I would keep it in the future. That card's really good. I draw Twin Twisters, and I draw Droplet. I can't remember if I drew the Droplet for turn or I drew the Droplet already. So I had 2 Twin Twisters in hand. I had like 1 starter, and I think I had maybe a Droplet. I can't remember if I drew the Droplet though. So it comes his turn. I mean, my turn. He has the same inboard virtually, except this time I think he has Dark Law. No, I had Super Poly. That's what I had. Super Poly, Droplet, Twin Twisters, and something. So, anyways, it comes my turn. In the draw phase, turn player priority. Save me, okay? I say,
Twin Twisters, Chain Link 1, discard. Super Poly, Chain Link 2, discard for that. Okay, I Super Poly away his Dark Law and DPE or one of his Wake Up, something, not Wake Up. Yeah, I think it was DPE and Dark Law. Super Poly them away, and then destroy his back row, and I hit the Eternal Favorite. Keep in mind, due to Super Poly's effect, you cannot respond. You cannot respond to the activation. Neither player can respond. So I made it to where he could not activate the trap. So that was like actually a really cool play. He paid 4,000 to activate that, to activate a Hero Lives. So he was down on life. I was able to poke him for a little damage, gave it back over to him, because he still had a pretty decent board set up after, as heroes would if you let them go uninterrupted. But anyways, he ends up taking too long. I don't know if he would have been able to poke for enough damage as it was, because he was at like 32, I was at 8. I think his Wake Up was gone. His all of his big monsters were gone. So anyways, I win off time in that one. It's not exciting. I don't like it. But with Branded Chimera, you will go to time a fair amount, because your combo takes a little while, and it's a mid-rangey control type of deck. So anyways, 1-0. We're feeling good, okay? I'm not feeling great because it was very close. I mean, if I don't draw the God Hand, I lose that game. I just get FTK'd. So matchup 2, I play Fiendsmith Yubel. Very similar start. I think I lost every dice roll last night, especially the games that I needed to win a dice roll. Yeah, I think I won the very last dice roll. So anyways, Fiendsmith Yubel. He opens great. Does all the Yubel stuff. I'm staring down a Caesar. I'm staring down a Varudras. And I'm staring down a Phantom of Yubel with a trap set. So they have Soul of Rage in the graveyard to come back at any time. I just look at my hand. I scoop. Go to game 2. No time. No point in wasted time and going to time. I literally had I don't think I had any breakers in hand, and my hand just wasn't good. It just was not good. Not to deal with 2 Caesar summon negates, and then the Varudras Omni negate, and then the Soul of Rage link away, and then the SP, and then it was just too much. So game 2, I start off normal stuff. First thing I do, he Mourners it. I'm like, okay, so I chain block it with, I dodge it with Chimera Fusion. And then he activates Imperm. So I'm like, okay. And then I actually have another Chimera Fusion. So I chain block it there. Or no, I had a poly. That's right. I had a poly, and then he Imperm. I can't remember the exact. So either way, I chain block. I mean, I dodged it, and so I dodged an Imperm and a Mourner. So I'm like, okay. And surely he's not going to have any more hand traps. So I go in, and then he has an Imperm. I'm like, okay, well, I still end up making some semblance of a board. I ended on my negate, I think a face down Chimera Fusion. So, no, I ended on a Draco Dispelia. I had to do that to make it to where I could draw a card off of Magnum the Reliever. I had to go like in a different line of play. And luckily enough, the Draco Dispelia ended up being enough to win that game. I was able to Draco his Samsara Lotus. Yeah, I mean that was, he just had tons of hand traps and no gas. So, anyways, game 3, we're watching him play, and again, I do not side hand traps. I sided in like the 1 droll and some Bystials. Didn't see him. Yeah, didn't see him. We go start our turn. I'm sitting there looking at 2 droplets, 2 Mirror Swords Knight. I mean, maybe is it 2 gazelles? Yeah, it's like 2 gazelles, 1 mirror swords knight, 2 droplets. So I had a ton of multiples and a polymerization. Or no, it was 1 droplet, a poly. It was multiples, and then for turn, I draw another mirror swords knight, so I have duplicates. So I start my play off by activating polymerization, and ironically, he does choose to negate it with Verudras, which in a fusion deck, negating poly is not a bad idea. It's actually good. So, anyways, I use droplet. He's got Apo. He's got Phantom, Caesar, and Verudras. Okay? And the Soul of Rage in the grave. Yeah, I wasn't winning that game. There was absolutely nothing I could do with duplicates. Now, if I draw evenly matched there, that game is totally different. So, we lose that game. I just concede. There was just no way to take control of that game. Even if I could have negated his whole entire board and played, he still had the Soul of Rage, which would have been able to remove a body and banish a body and then banish another body. There would have been no way to play through that, even if I got rid of his own field disruption. So, yeah, it was cracked. Game 3, we play against. What am I thinking? I went blank. Game 3, we played Ritual Beasts. Okay. Yeah, Ritual Beasts, this game was not good for me either. I lost the die roll. I'm just going to make this one short and sweet. I lost the die roll, and they had Protos. And typically they blind call Dark just conveniently against my deck. That's very good. So yeah, we virtually got FTK'd that time. Game 2 was a very long, grindy match where it came down to like the very wire. Like I was able to play through the Protoss lock, come back, but he was able to poke me for like 500 life point damage, and we almost went to a draw. Like if I could have got to the battle phase with my illusion monster, I was gonna be able to poke just enough to make a draw. So anyways, I lose the Ritual Beast. We're sitting there 1 and 2. Not looking good at this point. Then we play Heroes again. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Let me just lose the dice roll again. I win the dice roll. Go first. Make a crazy board. I say a crazy board. I kind of actually didn't have a good hand, but I was able to make stuff happen. Game 1 didn't take that long. I won. Game 2. He goes first, makes a heroes board, and I was able to break it. It wasn't very exciting. Well, it was because I had a droplet in hand, and I still kind of had a bad hand, but I had Super Poly, so I got rid of his Dark Law and the DPE, and I was able to make Garura maybe? Whatever I fused away, I made Garura. I can't remember exactly what I fused away. So, yeah, I think that's right. So that got rid of that issue. So now my droplets live and things like that. So I droplet send the Garura. My first opening play was Fright Fur Patchwork to add something. He ashed that, which is not a bad ash in this deck. I don't know if he knew I was on branded at this point, but I had Branded Fusion in hand. So I made the Renbrum. He makes the Shining Neos Wingman. I negate that, and then I use the Super Poly after that. So now I'm sitting there with a Garura on field and a droplet. He has that one other card that makes his monsters real big. I can't remember the name of it, but what's the name of it? I can't remember. Anyways, I droplet that, send the Garura as cost. The Garura gets me a draw. It's Nightmare Apprentice. I have a TC Boo in hand and Nightmare Apprentice. Send the the TC Boo, summon Nightmare Apprentice. Then it just snowballs from there. I add a Mirror Swords Knight, normal summon it, do the full combo, wombo combo, blah blah blah, make the big OTK guy, and go in for game. And that was it on that one. So we finished off 2-2. And I don't know that in any of the matchups other than the Ritual Beast matchup, if I'm playing or siding hand traps, I feel like would go any different. I think the Yubel one, I feel like board breakers are better in that matchup. I just didn't see the ones I needed. So I should have definitely been siding hand traps. But anyway, let's get right into the deck profile, and I'll show you what I would change, and we'll go from there.
All right, guys, let's get right into the deck profile. We will start off with the main deck, of course. So I'm going to kind of go through it and then tell you what I would change. So first off, we're going to have 3 Mirror Swords Knight, 3 Cornfield Codal, 3 Gazelle of the Mythical Claws, 2 Baphomet. You have to kind of run 2 of them. He is a brick, but it comes up in your combo. 3 Nightmare Apprentice. This card's really good. I noticed some people are like trying to cut it down, but it's so good. 1 Yubel is his original Sin Keeper, and Master Tao the Enchanter. So these are mandatory. This one's not mandatory in the sense that you have to play. It's just mandatory if you want to consistently win with the deck, because this card is basically an anti-spell fragrance if you can get to it. And then for the last bit of the Chimera engine, 3 Chimera Fusion. I mean, this engine is 15, 16, 17, 20 cards. So it's a fairly large engine, but it's a very powerful engine. The worst part about it is we really need another extender for the deck other than Nightmare Apprentice. Maybe one that doesn't have a cost of discarding a card. But in this build, discarding a card a lot of times is not too bad. So next up is the branded package. And in the future, to make this deck better, I will probably have to add the Fiendsmith stuff. This deck got instantly power crept by the Fiendsmith, and I really hate that, but we're going to have to do it. So 3 Branded Fusion, 2 Fallen of Albaz, 1 Hex Sealed Fusion, and 1 Magnamut. This isn't necessarily part of the branded package. This is just for the Dragoon, and this is just for those times in your deck when you want to use a dark that's not one of your illusions or something. And plus, this can search any dragon in your deck, which you'll be searching the extra copy. Because sometimes normal summoning Albaz puts a lot of pressure on the board. Plus, Abystial is just good removal in general. But in the future, I think this package will be coming out. This will be 4, 7 cards, and this will be Fiendsmith. Going forward, for this deck to really thrive in this meta, I think you have to play the Fiendsmith. It's unfortunate, but luckily I just got my last engraver yesterday, so I will be updating this deck. But I love the branded version. So 3 Frightfur Patchwork, 3 Edge Imp Chain, 2 Polymerization. So this is your Frightfur Patchwork engine. This engine's really, really good. Does it play into Droll? Yes, it does. But it also allows you to chain block. It gets you free stuff to send off Super Poly and Droplet. It's just unfortunate that, again, the Fiendsmith stuff is power creeping so much that you're kind of forced to play more non-engine. So if you would want to play this deck, like the branded version, I would probably say cut this and play non-engine. Maybe play some draw power, Pot of Prosperity or something. You couldn't banish 6, of course, because the deck's so tight, but you could at least banish like 3. And it'd help you see the cards you need to see. But this engine's very good. It is very good. So that's it for that engine. But you got to understand it's taking up 8 cards. So that is kind of big. And you could cut it down a little bit. But at that point, you're not going to see it as much. So there's no point if you ask me. For our board breakers, 3 Super Poly. I still like Super Poly. It's still good this format. But for example, Yubel ends on an unsuper polyable board. Ritual Beast ends on an unsuper polyable board most of the time. So yeah, I just don't think it's the format right now. Triple Tactics Talent. This card's really good. I think this might be the best board breaker to play because it's good going first and second. Droplet is still really good.
It really is. I would not recommend not playing Droplet, but your deck has to be able to play Droplet and gain pluses off of it, or at least not go too bad negative. You know, if you're having to send 3 cards from your hand and you're not at least getting back a couple, it's not worth it. So be careful of that. One more board breaker or power spell, Called by the Grave. You know, with the current meta, I think this is, a lot of people are talking about banning Crossout, and I don't think that's the solution right now. I mean, I think we need more protection against hand traps. So I'm thinking this needs to go to 2, you know, or something. And then the one of TC Boo. If your deck can play an unfair card like this in this meta, just play it, okay? It's just simple as that. Don't be too good to play that. So I'll kind of show you at the end what I would cut to make this deck better, and make it more ready for the meta, for the current meta. So for our extra deck, our branded package, 1 Mirror Jade, 1 Albion, 1 Lebellion, 1 Rembrandt. This card is so good. And that's the only issue I would have, is having to get rid of this to play the Fiendsmith. Dragospelia, sort of an honorary branded card, and then Dragoon, an honorary branded card as well. And just it's really good to have an Omnigate in the deck, but with the Fiendsmith, you get a better Omnigate. You know, so it's one of them. It's kind of a sad day for branded Chimera. The power creep is real. For our Chimera engine, Chimera extra deck engine, we're going to go with 1 of the Phantom Beasts, King of the Phantom Beasts, 2 of the Baphomet of the Mythical Phantom Beasts. This ratio is the best because you can make this on turn 3 and just recycle this and then recycle this one again. So, and then the 1 OTK guy, this guy won me 2 games, I think, 3 games. Yeah, this card is just really good. So this is still mandatory in the deck if you ask me. Magnum the Reliever, I think this one has to get cut for Fiendsmith. Guardian Chimera, this card's really good. I did cut it down to 1 to be able to play which card? Oh, to be able to play the Chaos Angel. We'll get to that in a minute. For our Super Poly targets, we will go with the standard Garura Mud Dragon. I was going to make this the Yubel card, and that might have came up last night, looking back, if I could have forced out them to have a Yubel on the field. But at the end of the day, I don't know, you know. But the 1 Chaos Angel, it came up, but it was a situation where I was already winning the game, and that's typically going to be the case. But sometimes you can make this going first if your hand's kind of like through Shifter. If you have Mirror Swords Knight and a way to get to the Nightmare Apprentice, you can just make hard make Chaos Angel, and it kind of puts decks like Tenpai and Snake Eyes on. Like Snake Eyes doesn't play the Raging Phoenix anymore, it's Atlantis line, so they don't really have anything that can get that big. If they're playing, even if they're playing Access Code Talker, it won't work on this. So they have a hard time dealing with it. So I'd keep this for sure if I'm playing the Fiendsmith build. So the side deck, I do want to talk about that. The side deck was good overall. I just didn't see a lot of it, and I should have made note to put more hand traps. But in the future, we'll be playing hand traps in the main. So 3 Twin Twisters. This won me a game in the Heroes matchup. Crossout Designator, didn't side it in at all. It's not even... I think you just have to decide, hey, I'm going to lose to this. If you're not playing a deck that you know you're going to play a bunch of mirror matches, Crossout's not that good. And if you're going to play Crossout, you need to be playing hand traps in the main, not just playing it for 1 target. So Droll, yeah, this wasn't good. This just should have been 3 Droll, to be honest with you. So yeah, we're gonna go with 3 Evenly Matched. This card is good when you see it with Droplet or another board breaker, but unfortunately I didn't. 3 Judgment. Just because this deck going first is susceptible to Evenly without the Fiendsmith stuff. So again, really good in theory. Didn't see it.
Didn't need it necessarily. When I went first, I typically won because we do already have an anti-spell and a way around evenly. So in the future, I would definitely cut this for more sides of hand traps. Probably going to side Spooky Dogwood over this for situations. And it's unfortunate, but games like the Ritual Beast, I could have won with Spooky Dogwood if I had that card. Or even Molcharmy probably could have won with that. And then 2 Bystials. We're already playing 1 in the main. I think I'll keep. I think I'll end up maining Bystials in this deck because the synchrony we have with making Chaos Angel, things like that. Plus, we do play Lights and Darks, so this Baldrake becomes much better. Now, let me show you what we would change. So first things first, in the extra deck, we're going to be getting rid of this, for sure, those. And probably have to get rid of this and this. So yeah, so we're getting rid of 7 cards. That's going to give us plenty of room for the Fiendsmith stuff, for the Appaloosa stuff, for all the stuff that comes with Fiendsmith. For our main deck, let's go ahead and look at this. And I'm going to show you what we can cut and kind of tell you what I would replace it with. So first off, the six branded fusion cards. We're going to want to cut these. This is just enough for 3 Engraver, 1 Lori, and a Tractus, or 2 Tractus, if you choose to play that. I think two is not mandatory. 1's fine, because you don't really want to draw it. You'd rather draw the Engraver. But anyways, that's gonna be coming out. So that leaves us with flexibility for the rest of these. So the Bystials, I would keep that. Fright Fur Patchwork coming out. So this is 8 cards. So we're gonna put in our standard Ash Blossoms, Imperms, things like that. Super Poly coming out. We can go with Drolls. Talents is going to stay in this deck because this deck is a deck where you can draw 1 card and change your entire hand. So Talents is going to stay. Droplets. I think this is going to stay in the main. I don't necessarily like combining board breakers and hand traps, but in a deck like this, it's fine. But we may end up just siding this too. It kind of depends. It just kind of depends. So Codba and Tikaboo, I think we'll continue to just play these because once Fiendsmith comes out, we'll just be able to play it even more because we'll end on like a completely diverse board. Appaloosa, Caesar, the Phantom King Beast. We'll still have our Guardian Chimera. Anyways, typically if you activate this, you're already locking the game up. I mean, you're winning anyway. So, yeah, guys. Thanks for watching the video. If you like these kind of videos, be sure to like and subscribe. The next time, I'm gonna try to get video footage of the actual games, but locals was kind of packed out last night, and I didn't want to like hold up the games to get video last night. And plus, I forgot my tripod, so that don't help either. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.